The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. Representatives of 17 interstellar civilizations watched in mounting horror as the massive vessel materialized from the quantum fold. "Impossible," whispered High Admiral Trell, his four-fingered hand trembling as he reached for support. The humans were contained, their star system quarantined. Yet there it was, unmistakable, undeniable. A human battleship, twice the size of any warcraft the Dominion had ever constructed, its hull scarred from battles unknown, weapon sports glowing with barely restrained energy. The humans had been deemed too dangerous nearly a century ago. Their propensity for violence, their alarming adaptability, and their reckless technological advancement had frightened the elder races. The solution had been simple: erect a quantum barrier around Sol system and let the primitives play war games among themselves until they either evolved or destroyed each other. The barrier was impenetrable, stammered Science Director Mori, her scaled skin paling to an ashen gray. "We had the most advanced civilizations contribute to its design." Ambassador Vexus, always the pragmatist, leaned forward, clearly not impenetrable enough. The battleship, designation unknown, purpose unclear, drifted silently through the Arcturus sector. Its very presence sent automated defense systems into chaos, conflicting protocols triggering and canceling as the unprecedented threat moved with deliberate slowness. On the bridge of the EDF Prometheus, Captain Jack Foster stood with his hands clasped behind his back, surveying the stars beyond the viewscreen. Beside him, his XO, Lieutenant Tom Reed, monitored the alien communications they were intercepting. "They're panicking, sir," Reed reported, not bothering to hide his satisfaction. 17 different languages, all saying roughly the same thing. How did they get out? And what do they want? Foster allowed himself a thin smile. "Let them stew a bit longer, Lieutenant." The crew of the Prometheus worked with quiet efficiency. Each had been selected not just for technical expertise, but for psychological resilience. They represented humanity's first official ambassadors to the stars in a century, though not by invitation. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Anna Weber monitored the quantum displacement drive, humanity's greatest achievement and the key to their escape from cosmic imprisonment. Unlike the aliens' full technology, the QDD didn't manipulate space. It simply moved the ship through dimensions where space was already compressed. "Drive cooling nominal," she reported over the comms. "We can make another jump in 6 hours if needed." Foster acknowledged the report with a nod. 6 hours was plenty of time for their message to be delivered. In the council chambers, the panic was evolving into something more dangerous. Consensus. "We must destroy it immediately," declared War Commander Draz, his metallic exoskeleton clicking with agitation, "before they can transmit coordinates back to Earth." Grand Mediator Jonah, oldest among them, raised a withered hand. "And risk provoking a full human response, when we don't even know how they breached the barrier. That would be unwise." "We should attempt communication," suggested Ambassador Rel of the Harmonious Accord. "Perhaps they—" The chamber's central display changed suddenly, interrupting Rel mid-sentence. The face of a human, tan-skinned, dark-eyed, remarkably calm, filled the screen. "This is Captain Jack Foster of the Earth Defense Force vessel Prometheus," the human stated, his words translated instantly by the Council's systems. "We bring a message from Earth." Fear, palpable and electric, surged through the Council chambers. Foster's expression remained impassive. "Your quarantine has failed. Your judgment of our species was premature. We do not come seeking revenge today. We come with a warning." The council members exchanged glances of mounting dread as the human continued. "The stars belong to all sentient beings. You will dismantle the barrier, or we will dismantle it for you. You have 1 galactic standard week to comply." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the council in stunned silence. The Prometheus maintained position just beyond weapons range of the nearest Dominion outpost. Foster had given the aliens their ultimatum. Now came the waiting game. a test of nerves that humans had perfected over millennia of conflict. In his private quarters, Foster reviewed historical archives, the day of enclosure, when Earth's astronomers had detected the energy field forming at the edge of the solar system, the failed attempts to penetrate it, the decades of unified purpose as humanity realized they had been caged like dangerous animals. A chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Enter," he called, closing the holographic displays. Dr. Lisa Gray, the ship's diplomatic officer, stepped inside. Unlike the military personnel with their crisp uniforms and rigid postures, Gray moved with an academic's casual confidence. Her expertise in xenopsychology had been deemed crucial to the mission. "They're arguing among themselves," she reported, taking a seat without waiting for invitation. "Our monitoring systems have picked up transmissions between council members. They're divided on how to respond." Foster nodded. As expected, the militaristic factions, particularly the Draz Imperium and the Vex Consortium, are pushing for immediate action against us, the older civilizations council caution. She studied Foster's expression. "You don't seem concerned." "Because I'm not," Foster replied evenly. "Division works in our favor. While they debate, our secondary vessels are moving into position." Gray's eyes widened slightly. "The Council doesn't know about the other ships." "Nor should they," Foster said. "The Prometheus is the demonstration. The rest are the insurance policy." In a distant sector, cloaked by technology that bent light and other electromagnetic radiation around their hulls, 3 additional Earth vessels, Athena, Hermes, and Apollo, moved silently toward strategic positions. Smaller than the Prometheus, but no less lethal, they carried specialized payloads designed for specific targets. On the Athena, Commander Ben Hayes received the encoded confirmation from Foster. His orders were clear: remain hidden, but be prepared to strike if diplomacy failed. "Status report," Hayes demanded, pacing the bridge with barely contained energy. "All systems nominal, sir," reported his tactical officer, Laura Jones. "Quantum torpedoes armed and targeting systems calibrated for Dominion energy signatures." The Athena's mission was perhaps the most critical. They were to target the quantum barrier generators if negotiations collapsed. Earth's scientists had spent decades studying the barrier, identifying its weaknesses without the aliens' knowledge. Meanwhile, in the council chambers, the debate had dissolved into factional squabbling. "The humans are bluffing," insisted War Commander Draz. "One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot threaten the combined might of the Dominion." Grand Mediator Jonah shook his head slowly. "You fail to understand the human psyche, Commander. They would not have emerged unless they were confident in their position." Science Director Mori, who had been analyzing the brief transmission, looked up with alarm. "The human vessel shows energy signatures we cannot identify. Their shielding technology is beyond our current understanding." "What are you suggesting?" demanded Trell. "I'm suggesting," Mori replied carefully, "that in the century of their isolation, human technological development may have outpaced our own significantly." The implications hung heavy in the air. The Council had quarantined humanity precisely because of their rapid advancement. If they had continued that trajectory, unrestricted by ethical constraints that govern most Dominion research, Ambassador Vex broke the tension. "We should send a delegation, open a dialogue, and welcome them onto our station," scoffed Traz. "Give them access to our systems, our defenses." "No," Vex clarified. "I will go to them." The proposal stunned the Council into silence. On the Prometheus, Foster received word of the aliens' offer. "A bold move," commented Reed. Foster turned to Gray. "Your assessment." "Vex represents the Argon Collective, scholars primarily. They opposed the quarantine a century ago," she explained. "This could be genuine outreach or a sophisticated intelligence-gathering mission." Foster considered a moment before responding. "Tell them we accept. Ambassador Vexix may board with 2 unarmed companions of their choosing." As Reed transmitted the acceptance, Foster added, "And prepare the revelation package. It's time they understood exactly what they've been containing. Ambassador Vex's shuttle approached the Prometheus with deliberate slowness, broadcasting identification signals continuously. Accompanying him were Science Director Maury and, surprisingly, a representative of the younger species, Tarn, a diplomat from the recently spacefaring Lumari. Captain Foster had chosen the main hangar for the meeting, a calculated decision that would allow the aliens to see precisely how advanced human technology had become. The cavernous space housed sleek fighter craft, powered exoskeletons, and various robots performing maintenance tasks with eerie precision. Remember, Foster instructed the assembled reception committee, "We're not here to threaten, but we will not be intimidated either. The goal is coexistence, not dominance." The alien shuttle settled onto the deck with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. A moment later, the hatch opened, revealing the 3 council representatives. Foster stepped forward. "Ambassador Vex, welcome aboard the Prometheus." Vex, tall and willowy with translucent skin that revealed the pulsing of multiple hearts, inclined his head. "Captain Foster, your invitation is appreciated. Please, follow me to our conference room," Foster said, gesturing toward a corridor. "We have much to discuss." As they walked, Maury couldn't help but examine everything they passed with obvious scientific curiosity. The Lumari representative, Tarn, seemed almost overwhelmed, his bioluminescent spots flickering with emotional signals that Gray quietly translated for Foster through his earpiece. "He's terrified but fascinated," she murmured. The Lumari achieved spaceflight only 30 years ago. To them, both humans and the Dominion are ancient powers. The conference room offered a stunning view of space through a transparent aluminum viewport. As they settled around the table, Foster activated a holographic display in the center. "Before we begin formal discussions about the barrier," he said, "I believe context is needed. You quarantined humanity because you feared us. I want to show you why that fear, while understandable, led to a grave mistake." The hologram showed Earth as it had been a century ago. Nations divided, resources depleted, climate in crisis. "This was humanity when you enclosed us," Foster continued, as the image shifted to show the current Earth. "Gleaming arcologies, restored ecosystems, orbital habitats. This is humanity now, unified by necessity against a common adversary, your barrier." Vex leaned forward. "You prospered despite the containment." "Because of it," Foster corrected. "The barrier forced us to look inward, to solve our problems without expansion as an option. We had to become more efficient, more cooperative, more innovative." Maury's scales rippled with what Gray recognized as scientific excitement. "Your technological advancement is remarkable. Our models predicted you would destroy yourselves within decades. Your models failed to account for human adaptability," Foster replied evenly. "But more importantly, they failed to consider that containment would create precisely the conditions needed to accelerate our development." Foster gestured, changing the hologram to show the solar system, now completely utilized. Mercury's resources harvested for megastructures, Venus partially terraformed, Mars fully habitable, the asteroid belt transformed into habitats and shipyards, the gas giant's moons colonized. "We turned our prison into a fortress," Foster explained. "And when we finally understood the nature of your barrier, we didn't just find a way through it. We mastered the underlying principles and improved upon them." Tarn, the young Lumari, found his voice. "If you have surpassed the Dominion technologically, why not simply destroy the barrier? Why this diplomatic approach?" Foster's expression softened slightly. "Because we've learned from our history, power doesn't justify dominance. We want to join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors." "Yet you threaten to dismantle the barrier by force," Vex observed. "We will not remain imprisoned," Foster said firmly. "But we prefer cooperation to conflict. The quantum displacement technology that brought us here could benefit all spacefaring species." Maury's analytical mind quickly grasped the implications. "You're offering to share your technology. conditional on our freedom and recognition as equals. Yes, Foster confirmed. The stars are vast enough for all of us. Vex considered this for a long moment before responding. The Council will need to deliberate on your proposal. Of course, Foster agreed. But perhaps first, you'd like to see something else we developed during our isolation. With another gesture, he changed the holographic display to show a device shaped like a flattened sphere, pulsing with energy. This, he said quietly, is what we call a quantum resonance amplifier. It can destabilize your barrier from anywhere in the galaxy. We've installed them on all our ships. The message was clear. Humanity was offering peace, but they were prepared for alternatives. The Council meeting following Ambassador Vex's return from the Prometheus descended into chaos within minutes. They've weaponized quantum fields, Science Director Morty exclaimed, displaying her scans of the human technology. The implications are staggering. They could potentially collapse spatial barriers, disrupt planetary shields, even interfere with our fold drives. War Commander Draz pounded his metallic fist on the table. This confirms everything I warned about. They must be neutralized immediately, before more of their ships emerge. Grand Mediator Jonah raised his voice above the tumult. Ambassador Vex, your impression of the humans, beyond their technology. Vex stood silent for a moment, gathering his thoughts. They are not what I expected. Captain Foster spoke of cooperation rather than revenge. Their ship, while clearly designed for combat, shows evidence of scientific and exploratory capabilities as well. A ruse, snapped Draz. Did you not see their weapons? I saw a species that turned imprisonment into prosperity, Vex countered. A species that could have attacked without warning but chose dialogue instead. High Admiral Trell, who had remained quiet until now, leaned forward. What of their terms? Simple but non-negotiable, Vex replied. The barrier must come down. They will share certain technologies in exchange for integration into the galactic community with full rights and protections under Dominion law. And if we refuse, asked Trell, they will dismantle the barrier themselves and reconsider their peaceful intentions. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Aboard the Prometheus, Foster received the encrypted transmission from the Athena. Captain, we've detected energy fluctuations in the defense grid surrounding the Council station, Commander Hayes reported. They're activating weapon systems that have been dormant for decades. Foster's expression remained neutral, but his voice carried an edge when he addressed Reed. Alert status Alpha. Shields at maximum. Prepare for potential hostilities, but do not power weapons unless I give the order. Gray, who had been analyzing the diplomatic exchange with Vexus, looked troubled. They're afraid, Jack. Fear makes even rational beings unpredictable. I know, Foster replied. That's why we have contingencies. Throughout the Prometheus, crew members moved with practiced efficiency, securing systems and preparing for possible combat. Unlike the aliens' militaries, every human aboard was cross-trained in multiple disciplines, a necessity born from centuries of warfare and the limited population of their enclosed system. In engineering, Anna Weber ran final checks on the quantum displacement drive. If things go sideways, how far are we jumping? She asked for second, Mark Davis. Captain's orders are to regroup at Epsilon position, Davis replied. All three support ships are synchronized for simultaneous displacement if needed. Weber nodded, patting the drive housing almost affectionately. Let's hope the aliens choose the sensible option. On the Council station, the debate had narrowed to two opposing viewpoints. One faction, led by Draz and Trell, advocated for immediate military action, arguing that humanity had proven their dangerous nature by breaking containment. The other, championed by Vex, Jonah, and surprisingly, Maury, pushed for accepting the humans' terms. Their technological leap is precisely why we should negotiate, Maury insisted. Imagine what our combined scientific communities could achieve, or what devastation their weapons could unleash, countered Draz. The Lumari representative, Tarn, who had been silent since returning from the human vessel, finally spoke. My species was not part of this council when humanity was quarantined. We have no historical grievance against them. But I observed something aboard their ship that none of you have mentioned. All eyes turned to the youngest council member. They have children aboard, Tarn said simply. Families. Their vessel is not merely a warship but a home. What kind of species brings children to a potential combat situation? A reckless one, muttered Draz. Or, suggested Tarn, one so confident in their position that they see no risk. One that wants us to understand they come as a complete society, not merely as a military force. The observation struck a chord with several council members. The distinction between a warship and a colony vessel was significant in diplomatic terms. Grand Mediator Jonah seized the moment. I call for a vote. Do we dismantle the barrier peacefully, or do we risk war with a species that has already demonstrated their ability to overcome our most advanced containment technology? On the Prometheus's bridge, Foster watched as the Council Station's weapon systems reached full power. They've made their decision, Reed stated grimly. Foster shook his head. Not yet. Give them time. As if in response to his words, a communication request chimed through the system. Captain Foster, came Grand Mediator Jonah's voice. The Council has reached a decision. The quantum barrier that had enclosed Earth's solar system for a century didn't collapse dramatically. There was no explosion, no dramatic implosion of energy. Instead, section by section, the massive generators positioned at strategic points beyond Pluto's orbit powered down in a carefully orchestrated sequence. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Foster and his crew watched the process through data feeds transmitted from Earth. For many aboard, especially the younger officers, it was hard to comprehend the significance of what they were witnessing. They had lived their entire lives under the shimmering dome that had defined the boundaries of human expansion. Generator 7 offline, reported Reed, his voice uncharacteristically emotional. That's the last one. The barrier is down. A moment of profound silence fell over the bridge, broken only when Anna Weber's voice came over the comms from engineering, confirming barrier dissolution. Quantum field readings are nominal across all vectors. We're free, Captain. Foster allowed himself a smile. A real one this time, not the measured expression he'd maintained throughout the negotiations. Send word to Earth. Operation Prometheus is complete. Phase 1 objectives achieved. Gray studied the captain curiously. You never doubted the outcome, did you? I prepared for failure, Foster corrected, but I believed in success. Humanity has spent a century not just developing technology, but understanding the psychology of imprisonment and freedom. We knew what arguments would resonate with the Council. Reed looked up from his console. Incoming transmission from Grand Mediator Jonah. The alien's weathered face appeared on the main screen. Captain Foster, as agreed, the barrier has been deactivated. The Council formally extends recognition to Earth and its colonies as sovereign territories, with all rights and protections under Dominion law. Thank you, Mediator, Foster responded. We look forward to establishing formal diplomatic relations. As promised, we will share specifications for our quantum displacement technology with the Council's scientific division. After the transmission ended, Foster turned to his crew. Prepare for a return journey to Earth. We're going home. And this time, we'll bring good news. As the Prometheus prepared to depart, activity throughout the Dominion reached a fever pitch. News of humanity's emergence spread rapidly, generating reactions ranging from panic to curiosity to excitement. On dozens of worlds, ancient defense systems were reactivated. On others, scientific institutions prepared to receive and analyze the promised human technologies. Trading guilds calculated the economic impact of a new technologically advanced civilization entering the galactic market. Within the Council itself, the political landscape had shifted dramatically. The faction that had advocated for peaceful resolution, led by Vex and Jonah, had gained significant influence. War Commander Draz and his hawkish allies found themselves increasingly isolated. You realize this is merely the beginning, Maury commented to Vex as they left the council chamber. The humans have been contained for generations. Their expansion will be enthusiastic. Vex nodded thoughtfully, but perhaps that enthusiasm can be channeled productively. Their technological innovations alone could advance Dominion science by centuries. Assuming they share everything, Maury replied. I suspect they've kept certain advancements to themselves, particularly their military technology. Wouldn't you, in their position? On Earth, the news of the Prometheus's success triggered global celebrations. In Unity Square, once known as Times Square before the unification of Earth's nations, massive crowds gathered to watch the barrier's dissolution on enormous screens. Similar scenes played out in London's Grand Commons, Beijing's Harmony Circle, and New Moscow's Federation Plaza. President Elena Martinez addressed the unified planet from the Global Assembly in Geneva. Citizens of Earth, today marks the end of our cosmic isolation and the beginning of humanity's true destiny among the stars. The courage of Captain Foster and the crew of the Prometheus has opened the galaxy to us. Now we must show the same wisdom and freedom that we displayed in confinement. Behind the public celebrations, Earth's leadership met in secure facilities to discuss the next phases of their carefully orchestrated reemergence. The Prometheus had been merely the vanguard, the most visible part of a plan decades in development. Defense Minister James Chen activated a holographic display showing the positions of dozens of hidden vessels throughout the solar system, ships that had been constructed in secret beyond the detection capabilities of any potential Dominion observation. The diplomatic fleet is ready to deploy, he reported. 26 vessels, each assigned to a specific region of Dominion space. And the colonization initiative? Inquired Martinez. The first wave of settlement ships can launch within the month. We've identified 37 candidate systems beyond Dominion borders based on the star charts Captain Foster acquired. Martinez nodded. Proceed as planned, but carefully. We've won our freedom through the appearance of strength tempered with restraint. We must maintain that balance. As the Prometheus initiated its quantum displacement drive for the journey home, Foster took one last look at the Council station on the view screen. Humanity had passed its first test in galactic politics, not through domination, but through calculated intimidation and strategic negotiation. Send a message to the Athena, Hermes, and Apollo, he instructed Reed. Tell them to maintain their positions for now. Our journey to the stars has only just begun. 6 months after the barrier's dissolution, the galaxy was still adjusting to humanity's presence. Earth had established formal diplomatic relations with 15 major civilizations and trading agreements with dozens more. Human technology, particularly advances in quantum physics, material science, and medical procedures, had begun flowing into Dominion research centers, triggering scientific revolutions across multiple disciplines. But not all reactions to humanity's emergence have been positive. On the bridge of the EDF Defender, Admiral James Reynolds watched grimly as the distress signal replayed. The transmission came from the horizon, one of Earth's first colony ships sent to establish a settlement on Proxima Centauri. Under attack by unknown vessels, came the fragmented message. They've disabled our engines. We're defenseless. Civilians aboard, please respond. Reynolds turned to his tactical officer. Time to intercept. 17 minutes via quantum displacement, sir. Alert the Dominion Council of our intention to enter the Proxima system with weapons hot, Reynolds ordered. This is exactly the scenario we prepared for. The Defender was the first of Earth's new Titan-class battleships, vessels built not for show or intimidation, but for war. Unlike the Prometheus, which had balanced diplomatic and military capabilities, the Defender was designed with a single purpose: to project overwhelming force. On the Council station, the emergency session had already descended into accusations and recriminations. This attack bears the hallmarks of the Scoro Collective, High Admiral Trell stated, displaying tactical data. Their raiding patterns have grown increasingly bold in the outer systems. The Scoro aren't recognized by the Dominion, War Commander Draz pointed out, barely concealing his satisfaction at the humans' predicament. They operate beyond our jurisdiction. Ambassador Vex shot him a withering look. They're pirates and slavers who you've conveniently ignored because they primarily target non-Dominion worlds. The question, interjected Grand Mediator Jonah, is how we respond to Earth's notification that they're sending a military vessel to Proxima. We should assist them, Tarn suggested. Show solidarity with our new allies. Draz scoffed. The humans insisted on expanding rapidly without waiting for proper defensive arrangements. Let them handle the consequences. Before the debate could continue, an aide rushed in with a data tablet. Updates from Proxima system, he announced breathlessly. The human vessel Defender has engaged the Skoro raiders. In the Proxima system, the Defender emerged from quantum displacement directly above the stricken colony ship. 3 Skoro vessels, angular, asymmetrical craft covered in sensor scattering materials, had surrounded the horizon and were attempting to breach its hull. All weapons systems online, reported Tactical Officer Sarah Miller. Targeting solutions acquired. Admiral Reynolds opened a broadcast channel. Attention unidentified vessels. This is Admiral James Reynolds of the Earth Defense Force. You are attacking the civilian Earth vessel in recognized Earth territory. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The only response was one of the Skoro ships breaking off from the horizon and turning its weapons toward the Defender. They're powering up energy weapons, Miller announced. Reynolds nodded once. Fire. What followed wasn't a battle so much as an execution. The Defender's primary weapon, a spinal-mounted quantum cascade cannon, fired a single concentrated beam that passed through the approaching Skoro vessel's shields as if they didn't exist. The raider ship split apart in a silent explosion, debris scattering across space. The remaining 2 Skoro vessels immediately attempted to flee, engines flaring as they accelerated away from the colony ship. Target their engines only, Reynolds commanded. The Council will want prisoners. Precision target drones launched from the Defender tiny craft carrying localized EMP weapons that attached to the fleeing ships and disabled their propulsion systems without destroying the vessels themselves. As the Defender shuttles approached the disabled raiders to secure their crews, Reynolds opened a channel to the horizon. This is Admiral Reynolds. Status report. Admiral, this is Captain Maria Lopez. Minor hull damage but no casualties. Thank you for the timely rescue. Reynolds allowed himself a small smile. You'll have Defender escort until we can arrange proper defensive measures for the colony. Reynolds out. Within hours, footage of the brief engagement had spread throughout the Dominion. The casual ease with which the human vessel had neutralized the dreaded Skoro raiders, pirates who had terrorized the outer systems for decades, sent shockwaves through the galactic community. In the council chamber, the mood had shifted dramatically. The quantum cascade weapon they deployed, Science Director Morty explained, displaying analysis of the battle. It appears to create a localized disruption in space-time that bypasses conventional shielding completely. Nothing in our archives suggests such technology is possible. High Admiral Trell looked troubled. And they installed this on a vessel they constructed in the mere 6 months since the barrier was removed. No, Vex realized, his translucent skin paling further. They had these ships ready, waiting. War Commander Draz's metallic fingers tapped an agitated rhythm on the table. I'd warned you. Their peaceful overtures were merely to gain time and position. Now we see their true nature. Grand Mediator Jonah shook his head. Yet they used this overwhelming force with remarkable restraint. They disabled rather than destroyed when possible. They respected life even among pirates. More importantly, added Tarn, they'd protected their civilians effectively, something the Dominion has failed to do in the outer systems for centuries. On Earth, President Martinez received Admiral Reynolds' report with mixed emotions. The successful defense of the horizon and capture of Skoro pirates provided valuable intelligence and demonstrated Earth's commitment to protecting its people. Yet the public display of military technology that humanity had kept secret during negotiations was problematic. The Council will have questions, Defense Minister Chen noted. about our military capabilities. Martinez nodded. And we'll answer them truthfully. The quantum cascade technology wasn't included in our technology exchange because it's still experimental. Too dangerous to share. Will they believe that? Some will, some won't. Martinez replied pragmatically. But they'll all understand the message. Earth protects its own. In his quarters aboard the Defender, Admiral Reynolds reviewed the data from the engagement. The Scoro ships, while primitive compared to Earth's technology, showed interesting adaptations for stealth and ambush tactics. Their crews, now in custody, would provide valuable intelligence on threats beyond Dominion space. A message notification flashed on his display, priority communication from Captain Foster, now serving as Earth's military attaché to the Council. Impressive work, James, Foster's message began. But perhaps too impressive. The Council is rattled. Some factions are calling for revising our treaties. Others see opportunity in alliance with us against threats like the Scoro. Our emergence has destabilized a political balance that existed for millennia. Reynolds considered this as he prepared his response. Humanity had won its freedom through careful strategy and measured intimidation. Now they would need to navigate the complex reality of being the newest, and in some ways, most feared, power in the galaxy. Understood, he replied simply. Defender returning to Earth with prisoners after colony security is established. The galaxy needs to understand that human expansion will continue and human worlds will be protected. But we come as neighbors, not conquerors. As he sent the message, Reynolds gazed out at the stars, truly accessible to humanity for the first time. The fear that had gripped the stars when Earth's battleship emerged was transforming into something more complex: respect, curiosity, and the first fragile tendrils of trust. 1 year to the day after the Prometheus had first appeared beyond the barrier, representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations gathered on Earth for the inaugural Galactic Cooperation Summit. The choice of venue was symbolic, the first time many alien diplomats had set foot on the world they had once quarantined. Unity Dome, constructed specifically for the event in what had once been Geneva, sparkled under Earth's sun. The structure showcased humanity's architectural and engineering prowess, with its self-supporting crystalline panels and gravity-manipulating interior that accommodated the vastly different physiological needs of the attendees. President Martinez stood at the central podium, surveying the assembled delegates. Some, like Ambassador Vexes and Grand Mediator Jonah, had become advocates for human integration into the wider galactic community. Others, including War Commander Draz, attended with visible reluctance, their postures rigid with lingering suspicion. Distinguished representatives, Martinez began. 1 year ago, the stars trembled at humanity's emergence. Today, we gather not in fear, but in hope. Not as jailers and prisoners, but as equals. The past year has shown what cooperation can achieve. On display around the chamber were the fruits of that cooperation. Medical technologies that had helped halt a plague in the Argon systems. Agricultural techniques that had increased food production on 5 water-stressed worlds. And most significantly, adapted quantum displacement drives that had revolutionized transportation throughout the Dominion. Earth remembers its imprisonment, Martinez continued, but we choose to define our future by what we build together, not by past grievances. The applause that followed was not universal, but it was substantial. Even some of humanity's staunchest critics had been swayed by the material benefits of cooperation. Captain Jack Foster, now Admiral Foster, watched from a side entrance with quiet satisfaction. The Prometheus mission had succeeded beyond expectation, establishing humanity not just as free, but as essential to the galactic future. Quite a change from when we first appeared in their space, commented Lisa Gray, now serving as Earth's chief diplomatic officer. Foster nodded. Fear opened the door. Cooperation is keeping it open. Not far from the Unity Dome, in a secure facility beneath Lake Geneva, a different meeting was taking place. Admiral Reynolds briefed the Joint Defense Command on developments beyond Dominion space. The Scoro raiders were merely the vanguard, he explained, displaying star charts showing movement patterns in the distant reaches of the galaxy. Our deep space probes have detected multiple species expanding from the galactic south, species unknown to the Dominion. Some appear to be refugees, others conquistadors. Defense Minister Chen studied the data grimly. The Dominion has been so focused on internal politics that they've ignored threats from beyond their borders. A peace lasting thousands of years breeds complacency. Reynolds observed. They've forgotten how to fight wars. We never had that luxury. Have you shared this intelligence with the Council? Reynolds nodded. Partially. We're proposing the Joint Defense Initiative, combining their resources with our tactical expertise. Back in the Unity Dome, President Martinez had reached the substantive portion of her address. Today, Earth proposes the formation of a galactic defense coalition. She announced, not to wage war, but to preserve peace, not dominated by any single species, but drawing on the strengths of all. War Commander Draz shifted uncomfortably. The proposal effectively acknowledged what many had come to realize. The Dominion's military capabilities had atrophied over millennia of relative peace, while humanity, forged in the crucible of their imprisonment, had developed not just advanced weapons, but strategic thinking that the elder races had lost. Recent incidents involving the Skoro and other non-aligned powers have demonstrated vulnerabilities in existing defense frameworks. Martins continued diplomatically. Earth offers its expertise not as a challenge to current structures, but as a complement to them. Science Director Mori leaned toward Ambassador Vex. Clever, she whispered. They're offering us protection while ensuring they maintain their military advantage. Would you prefer they didn't offer protection?